Meyer.
Thank you, Stella. Can you hear me loud and clear? Test,
Yes.
test. Okay, thanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BACP Empower Hour. I'm Ken Meyer, Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. Our goal is to help businesses and consumers get the information they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from Chicago's entrepreneurs. With us today is Anne Edwards-Cotter. She is the founder and president of Cotter Consulting, Inc. Cotter Consulting, Inc. is a woman-owned and certified firm in Chicago that provides comprehensive program management, project management, and construction management services. So it's very appropriate, given that March is Women's History Month, that we are welcoming Anne for this month's Empower Hour. Good afternoon, Anne, and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Ken. Thank you. It's great to be here. Happy to share my story.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So first, why don't we just get started? And for those who are watching us today or even later on YouTube, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to the founding of Cotter Consulting.
So my story is that I grew up, actually, my dad was a contractor. My grandfather was a home builder. So I had construction in my DNA. I started working for my dad's, business when I was probably just out of grammar school, going to his office and doing some things. So I kind of got hooked on the construction industry and, but actually loved music. So I went to college as a music major. I went to Mother Macaulay High School and we had a great music program and I loved it. But once I got to college, I realized that I probably wasn't the suffering type to pursue a professional singing career. So I switched to civil engineering at Bradley because my dad was a civil engineer. So I knew what civil engineers did. And so I got my degree in civil engineering and went to work for a construction company and as a project engineer. And then I went to another construction company as a project manager. And I just fell in love with being a project manager because you were managing the scope, schedule, budget, quality, safety, involved with all the different players and delivering a capital project. And I just loved it. So I worked for 4 different companies and a construction manager, a subcontractor, a construction management firm, and then the construction division of 2 real estate developers. And then I had 4 children and my youngest was 2 years old. And I realized I couldn't keep up, first of all, raising my children was my #1 priority. And, that I couldn't work in construction field because it was very demanding from a time standpoint and even real estate development. And also, we were talking about the late 80s, early 90s. So there wasn't the kind of flexibility in business and the workforce and that there is now. There also wasn't the technology to support that kind of flexibility. So really, I had learned about this field called owner's rep project management through a network of professional friends and decided, hey, I think that's something I could do, part-time and really set my own hours and only take as much work as I could handle. So that was 1990, and through a combination of a fantastic husband who supported me all along the way, my 4 kids who were great, and we never had major family issues. Of course, raising 4 kids is busy, but I always said if anything ever happened or one of my kids got really sick, I would have just dropped it, right, to focus on them. So really, that's what Cotter, and I really started off, I was going to be a 1-person show. I was going to work from my house. But one thing led to another, and I had never done sales or business development before. And that part of it I really liked. And then, I liked running a business kind of thing. So, and then of course, hiring employees. So it was one of the, I call myself an accidental entrepreneur, but I'm a passionate entrepreneur now and really love it.
Wow. That is a very, that's a great history. Let me go back to your childhood. I think I'm a little bit interested when you're helping out your father. Were you more of a carpenter with the hammer and the nails? Or were you trying to the plumbing? Or the
No, he
electric-
was a specialty concrete contractor
Okay,
and also a installation of specialty materials. So, yeah, he owned that. So when I worked for him, I was really helping the woman in his office. I do payroll, I do union reports, I do accounts payable. Yeah, all of those kind of things, the paperwork side of things. So that's how I got my feet in. And it was kind of, in hindsight, it was good. It helped me understand business.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, small businesses are always, I mean, it's kind of a one-stop shop, right? I mean,
Right.
you're doing everything. And as you bring on employees, you have to make the payroll, et cetera, and set expectations for the employees. Cotter Consulting, for folks that aren't aware, is works on some of our really big, very important projects, infrastructure projects, improvements here in the city, as well as educational institutions. Share with our attendees a few recent projects, and over the span of your career, have you had a couple of favorites that you want to share with us, or something that's been significant, really, in keeping you doing what you do?
Yeah, we have been part of teams that have delivered some really big projects over the years. Whether it was for Northwestern University, the athletic training facility right on the lake. We were involved in McCormick Place West Hall, the Conrack facility at O'Hare. We were involved in, actually the very first project I was involved in was the first Terminal 5 project. But I will tell you that I really—
You're going full circle. When's the last time Terminal 5 now is twice as big?
Yeah, and it's been renovated, so yeah.
Right.
But, I have to say, I think really at the heart of, from our business, and we're almost 90 people now, our vision is enhancing lives by improving environments. And I will say it's so much of our work is like for Chicago Public Schools. So it's building new schools, it's renovating schools. We do the sewer replacement, overseeing the water line replacement. We do work at O'Hare. I really love those projects. Public Building Commission has been a client of ours for 30 years. And some of the projects aren't sexy or glamorous, but they're very fulfilling, and they really, we're doing something for humanity and for the citizens, and we feel that very deeply throughout our company. And I think it really, it's what drives me, and I know it's what drives the people who work for us. I will tell you, one of my favorite projects, this is going way back, but we were owner's rep for the Public Building Commission when we renovated the Goldblatt's building on Chicago Avenue at Ashland. And I think it was for whatever whatever business affairs and consumer protection was way back. But anyway, we converted a building that was going to be torn down. It had been a Goldblatt's building. Literally, all the utilities were shut off. I think Pete's Fresh Market was going to come in, tear it down, and build a market. And instead, there was a clamoring for historic. It wasn't a historic building as much, but it did have so much historic, especially in the neighborhood. So that started from clean out the basement with the water and all the gunk. And we totally rebuilt it and built it into offices for city departments. And, it was great for the community, and that the building was restored to its really luster. And it also served the city in offices. It also put city offices in close proximity where people could more easily access them. So it's those kind of projects that I think really are really what are really drive us and our importance. We do a lot of work in not only for CPS, but some suburban K through 12 school districts and community colleges and universities. So it's really very rewarding, and because our work has meaning to a lot of people.
That's great. Yeah, and the building at Ashland and Chicago is still city offices. It primarily houses our office of Department of Human Services, CCHR, Chicago. Yeah, Commission on Human Relations, and I think Department of Family and Support Services.
Oh, okay.
So, And it actually is an easy, really, it's not that long commute actually from City Hall there and back and forth. Let's just talk a little bit about the global pandemic and how it really affected all businesses, everything from, our smaller businesses like restaurant tours to clothing, retail, to even construction jobs. And how the economy is still recovering from the pandemic. How did your company stay in business during the pandemic? And are there some sort of lessons you learned or plans for the future as we're coming out of the post-pandemic economy?
Well, I will tell you, we're really fortunate in that, the work we do is construction work, and that was deemed to be necessary. So most of our work continued. We have a lot of, most of our staff are in clients' offices or project offices. So there was scrambling to get people to be able to work from home. Yeah. But in our company, we've always invested in infrastructure. And so it was very easy for our staff because we have, VPN and everyone's got their own laptop. And we just had the technologies to support working remotely and working from home. So, we have a small team internally, a support team, but, they were just great. And we also were very, we looked immediately at what expenses we could stop, so we cut down on expenses because no one knew where it was going to go. We held weekly meetings with our managers to understand, of course, utilization in my business, because we bill by the hour. Yeah. So you can't afford to have people on the bench, who are unbillable for very long. So it was really important. So we had weekly meetings to say, okay, what's the status? Is there anyone coming off work? Is there anyone who needs help somewhere? So we could do that with our resources. Just the communication and just being flexible, you just had to be flexible. No one knew where things were going. And it was also very important to us to communicate with our staff and let them know everything was good, everything was solid. We were looking out for them, everything we were doing so that they didn't panic. Just a lot of things. I think it's improved the communication. We've kept up that, level of communication with our employees. And listening and, where do they need help? And, we had a jumble, thank goodness for our staff, our HR staff and administrative staff, because, there was juggling. There was, we had one guy who, he didn't get COVID, but his wife was working in the nurse in an emergency room at a hospital. And, and then she couldn't interact with the family, right? She couldn't afford to get COVID. Just complexities where we, worked out so he could work from home and just a lot of juggling. And I guess I think, towards anything, it's just about being flexible, but, and having that good communication and being willing to make tough decisions if you had to in that. So.
Did you folks have any supply chain issues with vendors as you're overseeing, various projects and demanding clients?
Right.
Well, we don't have it. It's on a boat somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, yes, definitely on the supply chain. One of the jobs, the big aspect of a project manager's job is to follow to the schedule and work with the contractor and designers. So we do that anyway. So of course, all of that was really ramped up to work together as a team. And I would say the good thing about COVID would be that our clients understood. In other words, in the normal course of a project, there can be things, in non-COVID times, things that cause delays in that. And in a perfect environment, there's a tendency to think, oh, why is that happening? Why? Whereas during COVID, everyone understood. So there was much more that understanding and everyone just working and let's just get it done as the best we can, as quickly as we can.
Yeah, very good. So how do you attract new clients? What's your marketing strategy? And because I'm sure like every business, particularly in your industry, you build something, everything's great. You're like, oh, we had fun doing that project for the last year, but now what are we going to do? So how do you kind of keep that going?
Well, I learned early on, you are always marketing, even when you have too much work. So, but marketing, well, marketing is communication, but then business development is about building relationships and getting to meet people and tell them your story. So that's why all of the different outreach events that the city procurement holds are really, really important, especially at the beginning. But, you know, you also have to know that it's not just bumping into someone in a meeting and getting their business card. It's about following up with them. It's about going in and talking to them. It's about understanding, you know, where you could provide value, you know, to that entity. So it's a lot of putting yourself out there, connecting with people, understanding their business and what drives it, and how you can help. It also is, you know, I've always been it's very, very important to be involved in industry organizations, and not just to attend events, but to be like in committees and on the board. So I've done that with Chicago Building Congress and Illinois Road and Transportation Builders, Construction Management Association of America. You know, we're involved in some other organizations. So those are always really important for building long-term, you know, relationships with people and working with them. So once again, the city outreach and then the industry organizations, and there's just a lot of networking opportunities. But I just always want to caution people, just showing up at an event is only about getting a person seeing your face, but then you have to follow up. You can't sit back and say, oh, they're going to call me because I met them at that event. You know, you've got to take the initiative and follow up.
Yeah, very, very good advice. I appreciate that. While we're talking about some of the external, tell me a little bit about if you've worked with our BACP small business service organizations, such as our local chambers, which we fund, and we like to work with them very closely as they assist small business owners all across the city. Have you, or are you currently working with the chamber? And if so, have you found their assistance beneficial?
You know, be honest with you, we have not. I mean, we work with the different city agencies who need our services. We work with the industry organizations that provide a lot of networking opportunities to meet with our potential clients, whether it's CDOT or Water Department or Department of Aviation. You know, think ACEC is a group. You know, Illinois Road Builders is another one. They bring the agency, you know, IDOT, Tollway, they bring the agency people to events for networking and also making presentations about what's coming up. So because what we do is somewhat a real kind of a niche business, that's why we've not found the success with the chamber like we have found with industry organizations. Right.
And in some ways, actually, you may be doing the work that CDOT might have worked out with a local elected official and a local chamber, you know, on a streetscape or on something.
Oh, yes.
Right. So you're kind of like after that work's been done.
I'm sure my engineers in the field who are overseeing some of those projects have interfaced with them.
Right. Or like, no, you can't do that project because we have our big street fest.
Right.
Can't wait the date.
Right. If that we definitely do. Yeah.
Changing topic just a little bit. Many of our attendees are seeking capital to start or enhance their business. How were you able to secure capital to open your business when you first opened? And what were some of the financial obstacles? And I guess lastly, then what advice can you offer for someone who is having issues with getting a loan to open their business?
Yeah, well, I started, we were in the fortunate position that I was able to start and not take without needing a salary because my husband's salary supported our family. So I was able to spend the time to go out and get the work, win the work, do the work, you know, invoice for the work. And I did that for about 3 years before I had enough cash flow. And of course, I kept the money in the business. So that then when I had enough work to hire people, I hired people and I had the money built up to, you know, to pay them. I did, you know, at one point, fortunately, I thought, you know, I better go and ask for a line of credit when I don't need it. So I had built up enough of, a track record. Here's my business, accounts receivable, and went to a bank. And it was a small bank. It's been bought up several times now when I first started, but it was a banker who was really looking to reach out and help businesses. So I actually got it and did all the paperwork, and it was based on accounts receivable. I didn't need to draw for a while, but there were times when I did, if we go into a crunch. And so we always have a line of credit, but you have, in order to get a line of credit, you have to show accounts receivable or assets that you can borrow against. So it is it's very difficult because, banks want to see a track record. So other than, for me, family situations, sometimes people borrow from family. Sometimes people know they want to start a business, but they save up their money so they have enough money to live on for 6 months or so. So those are all of the ways to get to where you get to the point where you can then, a bank will lend to you.
Yeah.
But there's also, the Women's Business Development Center, for a woman-owned business, should be a source for banking. I started with a neighborhood bank, near where I lived. Just go to the smallest bank, find people who are business bankers, and even if they say no, you're going to start to develop a relationship with them. And that's going to be important too, because they want to, that's very important in banking, that they know you and trust you, learn about how you think, learn about how you run your business. And that's how you build up the trust with them. So.
Any tips, because you've had a lot of clients that were government, that was the government, right? And government is not always the fastest organizations to pay their bills. And we in government always hear from the small business community, oh my gosh, it took 60 or 90 days, sometimes even longer, to get our bills paid. Give us just a little bit of sense how you kind of work out that cash flow. You're going to get paid, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. But meanwhile, you've got bills that are due.
Yeah, no, it's awful. When I have someone who looks at my business who's not in doing work for city agencies, they always go, your accounts receivable are terrible. How, you're like, we're not running a good business in their estimation because of how high our accounts receivable are. But as I always say, they're good for it. We eventually get paid. It does take a long, long time. We do a lot of work now for Commonwealth Edison. My God, they pay in, less than 30 days. So I guess I would say get some good clients under your belt that pay quickly because the city they just don't pay. So you have to be conservative in terms of, we've built up, that whole idea of cash flow. And once again, we do have the line of credit for if we ever, get in a crunch. But we probably only have to draw on that every couple of years or so. But I think it's just a conservative approach to, once you get money, holding on to that money.
Yeah. Very good. Cotter Consulting is a certified woman-owned firm with the city of Chicago. Why did you pursue this certification, and how was the process of becoming a certified woman-owned business?
Well, I did it. It was probably almost over 30 years ago. There were beginning to be a number of projects where the city was outsourcing project management and program management. There were projects that as one person I could never go after, but as part of a team I could. And of course they had the requirements for women-owned business and minority business and all that. So I always say from the beginning, I got the certification and I used it for what I think it was its intended purpose. And that was to get your foot in the door, get an opportunity, prove yourself, build up your experience, and build up your staff with expertise to then go after bigger projects. So we did that. Where we did get to a point where we could win a prime contract with, say, Department of Aviation or Public Building Commission or CDOT or or water department, tollway, IDOT. I mean, all of those kind of clients, because we had the staff, we could show their capabilities. Because in our business, it's all about what are your professional qualifications? What have you done? What projects have you done that are just like this project? Who are your staff? Do they have the experience directly with that type of project? How are you going to approach the project? And then, of course, what's your financial stability and all that? So we're always chosen on professional qualifications. So that's why that's very important.
And how long would you guess when you were, working for other large firms before you actually became the prime, like you just described? How many years?
It was 5 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you probably were building up your business all during that time with different smaller projects.
Right. And building relationships and doing good work. I mean, I always tell everyone who is an employee of Cotter, you are number one marketing. The work you do is the number one marketing tool that we have. And it's building relationships and our reputation. And I mean, I'm this far into it and I still will meet people who I've never met before going, oh, I've heard of Cotter. Oh, you guys are a great firm. And I'm like, be still my heart, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. When Elisa said I was interviewing today, I'm like, I know Anne Cotter. I'm not sure from which part of my 28-year government career, but I absolutely know Cotter Consulting. So, March is Women's History Month. Can you tell us who are some of the women in your life that inspired you on this great journey? And how many years have you been in business?
33.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And how does Cotter Consulting plan to celebrate women this month?
So my story is that I'm the oldest of 7 children and one of 5 girls. And so my father always said he was going to educate us so that, we could take care of ourselves. But I also had my mom was a really strong person, and my grandmother's. But seminal for me was I went to Mother Macaulay High School, which was an all girls Catholic school, still is on the South Side.
Yeah.
And I went there at a time, from 1969 to 1973. It was kind of a tumultuous time, in America and our society. But from the beginning, the nuns were like, you can be anyone you want to be. You can do anything. They, set high expectations. We got a great education. I felt like that was such a firm foundation. I'm still, supportive of Mother Macaulay, and I was on the board there, and because it really means a lot to me, and it has to a lot of people who went there. So I would say that's, well, first of all, I've been a champion of women. I was the only woman in my engineering class. When I went to Bradley, let's face it, I've been in the industry from that for that long. So we really celebrate women's every day. I mean, year in and year out. I mean, obviously our marketing department is doing some great things, showing who we are, but we've always been different from the beginning. We've always, obviously, being a woman, it's interesting when I interview young people who, are looking to join us, they want flexibility in that. I always say in 1990, I wanted flexibility. So I started my own business. So, we've always been supportive of working families and, and celebrating women and being a part of it and wanting to be also great examples out there. So I think that's, that's really, we live it every day. I mean, it's nice to celebrate it, for 1 month and that, but frankly, also I have the perspective of, in my 45-year career, things have changed a lot. Yeah. So, and in 45 years in construction and engineering, they've changed a lot. And so, we've got so many great women in our firm, and there are just so many great women in our industry, and the architecture, engineering, construction industry in Chicago and beyond. So it's exciting, really, to see how far we've come.
That's great. And I love the fact that you say it's really every day, right? Even though we are highlighting it here, really to help promote women such as yourself. But you are right. Celebrate it every day. Thank you for that. Well, thank you for sharing your insight in your business journey for our attendees. Let's just transition a little bit before we hopefully can take some questions. When you're not running a business, raising 4 children, what do you do to relax?
I play golf. I
Oh, wow.
spend time with my family, my husband, and well, my children are all grown now, but I have 6 grandchildren, so that's awesome. I read and we travel and yeah, just socialize. But I'm good. That's a good thing from a business owner standpoint is you do have to find perspective and balance, because you can go too far into the business and neglect everything else, and that's not good either.
Yeah, exactly. And as this webinar is titled Empower Hour, please share a piece of advice that can empower our attendees.
Well, I would say believe in yourself. Go into it really. I mean, you're not going to be perfect and you're going to have to change course and that kind of thing, but believe in yourself. Also surround yourself with people who can support you. And from professional people like an attorney, insurance, accounting help, to the friend whose shoulder you can cry on, to one of the things I did was build up a network of other business owners in my space who I could call informally and kind of say, how do you handle this, right? Or how did that, and who would share with me. And so I do that, quite a bit now with especially women-owned businesses that I meet, because I understand how important that is. And sometimes you just need someone who's like, listens and then goes, yeah, hang in there, or might offer a suggestion. But so often it's, I always say I wanted to give up so many times, probably the first 5 years, and my husband would just go, stick with it, you can do it, hang in there. So make sure you surround yourself with people, because you're going to need other people even just for moral support.
Yeah, that's great advice. Very good advice. Can you stay a little bit longer? Maybe we'll take some questions.
Sure.
From our audience. Stella, how are we doing? You got any questions in the chat?
Looks like we have 3 questions. First questions. How does Cotter Consulting encourage professional development to ensure employees are keeping up with their skills?
That's great. We do. That is a huge focus of ours. It's important. Continuous improvement's one of our values. We do internal training programs. We put people go through external training programs. We support our staff to achieve certifications and licensing, like the professional engineering, registered architect, certified construction manager. We have people with PMP, project management professional certifications. And of course, any certification requires ongoing education to keep up your certification. So yeah, no, that's a huge part of what we do. We do our internal talent management is around, not only performance management, but then we call them individual goal plans. So our staff, individually will look at where they want to go and identify what they need to get there. Sometimes we put people into more like outside third party, like whether it's leadership development or management development programs. So yeah, no, it's a huge focus because it's very, very important. We know it's important to our employees. It's important for us in delivering the services we deliver, and yeah, just a good thing to do.
Thank you. Stella?
Next question. What happens when you don't win a big project? Win a big bid?
That's a great, that happens often. So that's the thing, when I first started out, it's like, okay, get one project, do that project. But, I realize the cycle takes a long time to win new work. So you always have to be out looking for new work. So, yeah, you will have setbacks where you don't win it. And that's also why you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You really need to make sure you're diversified. Over the years, we've diversified into 4 different markets. You know, first we were in 2 markets, then we added a third, maybe 10 years in, then we added another one, you know, another maybe 20 years in. So yeah, you really, you know, one of the important things about a business is writing a business plan. And I'm sure and I always tell people, back when I started, I went to the library and took out a book about business plans. Now there's templates available online, but if you get an outline or a book on a business plan, it's going to lead you through all of the aspects that you need to do to set up a business and then to keep running a business, and how you market and all of that is a really important part of that. And we do annual our business development planning and identify where we're going to be looking, because it takes time, and yeah, you're not going to win everything.
And we have one more question. What professional organizations are important to your industry?
So we have a lot in our industry. I talked about, well, there's the Chicago Building Congress, there's Illinois Road and Transportation Builders, there's Women's Transportation Seminar, Federation of Women Contractors, HACIA, the Black Contractors Association, ACEC is an association of engineering companies, ASCE, I mean, all of which is civil engineering, there's transport, actually there's no end to the number of organizations. It's in some cases you've got to pick and choose and put your energies, because you could go to something every night of the week. And most of the same people are at all of them. So we're fortunate in the construction industry in Chicago and Illinois to have a lot of really great organizations, and I do highly recommend it. And I also way you can build relationships is to get involved and get on committees, and then eventually boards. That's where you really forge strong relationships.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have any. Wait. Nope. They are saying thank you. You are offering great advice. I just want to go over it. Does your company provide mentoring to new construction and engineering companies?
We informal mentoring. I have not any formal mentoring, but certainly, and I'm always happy to talk to people. So I don't know if you put my email address up. I would just say, reach out. I see what I can do to help. I'm not magic, but it's just good to talk to people and learn. You learn a little bit and you keep building on that with this building blocks.
And one more question. Do you offer internships?
We do. It's usually, we definitely on our transportation side for engineering students. And then I'll tell you this year, I'm not sure we'll do others, only because our HR director's on maternity leave. So we don't have the person this year to organize it. But our transportation group definitely does hire interns. But anyway, reach out. If you can put my email address out there, just have people reach out to me, and I'll if I can help, I'll be happy to.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say, Anne, what's your website? People just want more information about Cotter Consulting.
It's www.cotterconsulting.com.
Perfect.
Yep.
Anything else, Stella?
No. Everyone is saying
you.
Thank you. This was great.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, thank you, Anne.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
From the department, you did a great job. And I want to thank also all of our attendees for taking time out of their day, especially the women attendees. I think, as Anne mentioned earlier in the conversation, the Women's Business Development Center is a great kind of catch-all place to start, who can help then find some of these more specific associations depending on the business model that one is going after.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And just for our attendees and viewers, you can watch today's Empower Hour on our YouTube channel by visiting youtube.com/Chicago BACP. And for more information on our next Empower Hour, please visit chicago.gov/business education. So for everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. Enjoy this Thursday. It's kind of like spring sneaking into Chicago, and have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
Great. Well, thanks very much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to see you, Ken.
Thank you very much, Anne.